Welcome, everyone, to the 11th podcast for Casandra Properties. We are now, it's pretty amazing. Have an audience in 47 countries. Our YouTube following is pushing 8,000 across all the platforms. Things have really been taking off. We are very excited to get into the weeds a little bit today. We have a guest who is a local businessman, a dear friend, quite honestly. We grew up together. And he's out there. He's a restaurant operator. We'll get into all the background. He's out there fighting the good fight every day in really an impossible climate. We're trying to use this podcast as an opportunity to get the message out. For anybody that wants to communicate, anybody that the whole basis of this was to communicate and to get the message out for folks on Staten Island in particular. Of whatever the issue of the day is, and of course the issue of the day seems to be COVID over and over and over now. So we were really excited to have this discussion, and with that, let me introduce my good friend and local businessman, Mario Ferraro.
How you doing, James?
Good to see you, buddy.
Good to see you, man.
Who would have thought? Right?
Yeah, this is something else.
If we would have went back to the days in the basement, right? Yeah. Helping the puppies along, right? Giving birth and sitting up all hours of the night and recording it. And if we would have, said back then, we were such knuckleheads, we'd be sitting in a podcast studio together.
We were good knuckleheads, though.
We were good knuckleheads.
Yeah, we were good knuckleheads.
I mean, was that 20? Was that 30 years ago?
I wouldn't say 30, 25.
25 years ago.
Yeah.
You're getting old, bro.
Yeah, man, it's happening.
Wow.
Getting wiser.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That we are.
Yeah.
So, as we always do, we like to kind of take it back to the beginning. So first, let's tell people, actually, before we go to the beginning, the names of your restaurants, what you currently have going on, and then we'll go back to, as a kid, influences and how you ended up where you are today.
Okay. Well, influences early on, obviously with my mother, but right now, currently, we own Marie's Gourmet on Victory Boulevard.
Great place.
Yes, that is the original spot that opened in 2007. And then we branched out to Marie's 2 on Hyatt Street.
And when did that open?
And that opened in 2017.
2017.
So that's 3 years in the making. And now we're moving onto the other side, into Charleston neighborhood, into a lovely shopping center over there. The name of that will be called Vitalia.
So 2 existing places, opening up a third.
Mm-hmm.
Marie's is my favorite place to eat on the island, and it has been for quite some time.
Very generous and supportful. Thank you.
Well, you tapped into something there that it's difficult to explain, but and I'm an uptight guy. I'm a very structured A kind of guy, but it's a disarming place. It's as close to a Cheers feeling as you can possibly. I mean, that's kind of the way to minus the only. It's primarily a bar. This is amazing. Yeah. Home style food, and we'll get into the home style food and the origins of that in a bit, but you have an unbelievable way of just creating this cool vibe that it works.
It works. It definitely does, and especially when you can actually go in the place. But
right. Well, yeah. Right.
It works better that way. But
you haven't gotten it to a point where the vibe extends when you can't open.
Yeah.
Right. And we'll get into all that fun stuff. So let's go back to the beginning. Restaurants, is it in your family, or what are the influences, and how did you end up in this? You're clearly super passionate, right? Yeah. So how does this happen?
Okay, so my mother was a fabulous, amazing cook, as you know.
I do.
So it started me just helping her mostly around the holidays, Thanksgiving. We had the house that everybody came to. It was just, my mother cooked, and that was it. That was how we did it. We had a nice big family, and everybody came over, and it was always just a feast. And, just that, I feel like that just embedded in me, not only just the food, but just, I think, watching her watch everybody else enjoy, because she never really even ate it, or she would eat it like the next day, or she was always just so worried about everybody else enjoying and eating if they liked it and this and that. And I feel like that's something that I definitely grabbed from her, because there's when people enjoy something that you created, especially from the ground up, and then they enjoy that, and it's rewarding in a way.
She was a pleaser.
She was definitely a pleaser. But she was never pleased herself.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Toughest critic.
Yeah. She was just always like, is it enough? It's just so funny. Like, there was always that scene from Dom DeLuise. I don't even know where it's from, but he was like, gee, I hope it's enough. And the whole table was just like full of food. And like, that was it. That was basically it, you know? And then, when you go out to other, when, she left us early on in 98. So when you go out and you start experiencing other families and other traditions and you step into it and it's just not quite the same. And it's just like, it's like, okay, she was special.
Yeah.
She was definitely special. So not that they're saying that doesn't exist, but, it's just not as common, not as common for people.
That's, it's something I've tried very hard to hold on to and impart with my family, that big kind of Sunday or Saturday or whatever day it is, it doesn't matter, where you're pulling the family together. And it's somehow become more and more difficult, it seems, as time wears on, even the simplest things of pulling loved ones together. Right. In today's world.
Yeah, in today's world, man. It's
a whole nother ball game.
If I feel like if anything positive did come out of this whole quarantine thing, is that families were forced to spend more time together.
Yeah.
I don't know if that was a good thing or a bad thing. I look at it as a good thing, just a little bit more together time, But technology takes its toll on that too, and because you're there, but you're not really there.
Yeah, not present.
Your body's there, but nothing else. So that's just as frustrating, I feel like, sometimes.
Without a doubt. So you grow up, obviously, with Mama, and Mama's name was Marie. Right. Okay. So that's the genesis of the namesake for the restaurant.
And it actually was on the path we used to drive with my father and my sister going to school. Every morning we used to drive there. It's a car wash.
Really?
Yeah, it was a car wash. We used to actually get our car there washed. So it was pretty funny.
So there was a sentimental tie into that as well.
It was just the way we went to school. We grew up in that neighborhood, and I was like, never made it very far. I was born at like less than a mile away from that location.
Yeah, well, I was born on Pelton.
Yeah, you were born on Pelton.
And I'm back on Pelton.
Basically on your back door, yeah. But it's so funny, the two of us. Like, I got further than you, all right.
North Shore's
Yeah.
It's a special place. It's got its challenges, but you couldn't pull me out of the North Shore and relocate me anywhere on Staten Island for anything.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
So, is there any other influences as you're growing up, food wise? Is there celebrity chefs, or is there family, or is there anyone else that's influencing? Did you know this from an early age? I mean,
no, actually, I didn't. I remember when I was a child, I wanted to be a fireman, like really young. I remember there was a fire in my backyard, and I put it out with the hose, and the firemen came and they shook my hand. You're gonna make a good fireman. And then we started hanging out, and then I just forgot about that completely.
I stole that dream.
That's how you stole it, but you distracted it for sure. And then I turned around, and we were like, late 20s. I was like, shit,
what happened here?
Oh man, I gotta do something.
I was supposed to be a friggin' fireman.
I was supposed to be a fireman. So, and then but no, I always had a passion. There was always a passion there. Like whenever we would barbecue. I would always cook.
Yeah.
I was always an entertainer as well. Like whether it was food or not food from an early age, we always entertained. We always had parties. We always did that. My house was always that spot too. So I feel like that was a definite key role in developing my entertainment, feel.
And you were an actor and had a wonderful voice.
Yeah.
Right? You did improv.
We did improv. we did improv with all those guys.
Yeah.
Murray and Sal and Q and all those guys.
Here we are.
Yeah.
So how do you end up going from that to owning 2, soon to be 3 restaurants? I mean, there has to be stepping stones here, right? How do you first get involved in the business? And
so initially when it happened in 2006 is when we started planning. My father had sold the house that we grew up in, and he did okay with that. It was a beautiful home, and we, as a family, we wanted to do something to honor her, and I wanted to get into business for myself. So it just seemed like the right thing to do. And I was, I was young. I was 31 or something like that. And I just really wanted to own and operate my own business after working for a family for so many years. I worked for one uncle who just didn't care about anything. And I worked for another uncle that literally cared for everything.
Now, what worked for them in
and they were both successful in their own way,
What type of business?
All restaurants. All
okay.
Pizza, Italian restaurants. So when I was 18, my father was like, "You're not going to college?" He's like, "You're going to work for Uncle Julio." So that's what I did. I went to work for Uncle Julio. And he started out bussing, waiting tables, this and that. And then I had a little problem with one of the customers, and I kind of lunged over the table. And
oh boy!
Well, it was a long story. Anyway, that action that happened there, actually, my uncle liked it. He was actually happy that happened because I didn't let that person take advantage or disrespect me. So he's like, "I'm going to teach you the back of the house.
Interesting.
And you're going to become a manager." And that's exactly what happened. And he taught me, and that's really where I learned initially how to make pizza, how to make dough, how to do a lot of things. We made pasta together, and he taught me a lot, He's also, he just died recently, a couple years ago too, but he was a good guy. And then, so when I left him, that was in Jersey. I went to culinary school, during all of that time while I was working with him, and I would bring a lot of new stuff there. And then it was just time for me to move on. And, so then my mother died during that as well. And so I took a little time off. And then I went to work for another uncle. And I learned a lot from him as well, more of the, the management side of it, more of, dealing with a lot of people and a lot of staff. He had a very busy place. And it was good to see, like, both ends of the spectrum. One was very lax and one was very uptight. And just the effect that has on staff, and how to really, how to work with your staff and not let your personality kind of dominate what kind of leader you are, as far as in that industry, you kind of need to really absorb a lot of different personalities.
Sure.
And to be able to teach them not to bring that into your establishment. And so it has to start with you.
Yep.
You can't be freaking out if you don't want them to freak out.
Sure.
So, it's a different kind of management style where when you have to interact with people, you have to be pleasant. People, want that,
So you're moving through the steps. You're getting experience in two different management styles, which is great exposure and helping your development.
Right.
Whether you're recognizing it or not,
right?
As you're going through this, you're starting to pick up these different skill sets. The opportunity presents itself, and you take the plunge.
Yes, that's exactly it. We took the plunge, got everything all ready, and certainly got taken advantage of because I was young, and it was my first business, and I didn't care, and I didn't listen to anybody, and I wanted it this way, And that was also a huge learning experience because it wasn't just like, okay, you bought a restaurant. We bought an empty shell.
Right.
And we started from the architects, and we started over there, and and we put the walls, we did everything. So, that was a really big learning experience as far as from the ground up, because a lot of people don't have that. They usually just buy a restaurant,
So you got a good dose of the bureaucracy and the agencies.
Absolutely. Dealing with, GCs and, just, everybody comes in, starts shaking their head like this is something's wrong. We can't do this, because it's gotta be, they make it all look like a problem.
Yeah, of course.
So you learn that, but back then I believed it all, and I was like, oh my God, no, you don't understand. There's a problem with this, and it's going to cost more, But you got to go through that, I guess, to learn, to really understand how to just got to be diligent and focused, and know what you're talking about. And that's one thing I can honestly say now is I know what I'm talking about.
There you go. That's the one thing that we can certainly hang our hat on. We're gaining wisdom.
I've gained, and that's the way I really look at it, because I've had, now with this, and now, you learn different avenues of bureaucracy and just legal format as far as dealing with issues, like if you had, any other sort of issue. Now we're dealing with a suspension, and, so all of these things, I'm just like, it's a learning experience, because they could happen again, and at least I know, what to expect,
So what was the most difficult thing as you went through that experience? Was it getting through the agencies? Was it finding the staff? Was it sourcing quality foods?
No, all of that kind of just, when you create something like that, you'd be surprised. It attracts people. I remember building, I kind of made all the contacts I needed to. Plus, I wasn't a stranger in the business either, so I did know people as far as, good quality ingredients. Yep. I knew, most of the vendors. And
right, from your previous experience.
We have family, we were on the island, so I definitely had a guiding path, to get started in that way. But, I wasn't about to steal any staff or anything like that, but the staff really came together pretty quickly too, and when we started, we had a great staff. It was really, not that we don't have great staff now, but it really just came together nicely, and we had good people that ended up staying, for quite a long time. People ended up staying there for years, and it was nice. It was nice. But the hardest thing, it was, for me, it was not being able to just deal with the food end of it, and there was so much other stuff to deal with that I wasn't prepared for. I didn't know existed, because it's just when you're not the owner and certain things don't fall on you, and that was what I wasn't really expecting. When I first started, I was like, oh my God, this is a lot.
Yeah,
this is a lot. This isn't about food anymore. This is like, and then also training people and mostly chefs and the way you want things done, because I can cook. I know how to cook. I can make some food, but can I teach you to make food the way I make food? That's this business, or you have a chef that you trust to create your idea, which isn't the case. And in my case, this is my food that I want duplicated, And then there's some, of course, through specials, you can have a chef's take on certain things, and it's all incorporated. But as a menu, as a base menu, these are the things that I want to see, and I want you to do it this way.
So it's interesting. Petey is my counterbalance for what you're describing. So I've find that in businesses now, especially with technology being woven into every nook and cranny of everything we do, there's for real estate, there's deal makers, right? Which was traditionally, if you were a great deal maker, you were successful.
You're a good agent.
Now there's marketing and deal making, two totally different things, right? I'm very much a right brain thinker, very strategic and organized, and but not creative. Pete is extremely creative, but not as organized. So what the challenge you're describing is, I think, something that, and you don't really, I've read a lot of books about business development and, advice, and you don't really find that often. They don't tell you, you've got to be on both sides or be smart enough to have a partner or someone in the organization that complements that. And it took me 15 years to figure that out. I've been attracted to other similar thinkers, and that's usually disastrous, because you're missing a whole market segment and things that really should be tended to, because you're there so happy about, we're going to do this and we're going to do that, and we're in lockstep, and meanwhile, can't see the forest through the trees.
Right.
So what you're describing is you're very much an artist, right? You're a creator.
I like to create.
Yeah. So having the other side of it come together was difficult. So
Absolutely, it was difficult.
So did you purposefully create this relaxed feeling over at Marie's, or did that just happen organically? Was that in a mission statement, or?
I think it's an extension of my personality, honestly. Because the way I interact with my staff and just the way that I am on myself, and I want people to be themselves, and I think that that vibe, that kind of you can kind of put your guard down a little bit and just kind of, as long as you can get the job done, I want you to be yourself, and I want you to talk with people and interact with people on a level that you feel comfortable with, And I think it just, I think it also happened more because I was always in the beginning just about all I cared about was just the product on the table, the food.
Yeah.
And I really didn't. I always thought service wasn't as important. I was like, it's okay because if you mess up, as long as what they ate and what they drank was good and they enjoyed that, they'll come back.
Right.
And that kind of worked for me. But all our reviews in the beginning were like, great food, lousy service, great food, lousy service. You know what I mean? And like, but we had good characters there. We had personalities that, we used to have this guy Spiro. I don't know if you remember him.
Of course.
What a
Wonderful.
personality.
Wonderful
amazing kid. I mean, just an awesome person. And people would he would get their order completely wrong.
Yeah.
And they didn't care. They would come back week after week. Is Spiro working?
Yeah.
We'd be like, no, he actually took off today. We'd be like, okay, we'll come back next week. And I'm like, all right, well, the food's still here. but so it's interesting with service. It depends, I guess, on what level restaurant, you want to, if you're at a white tablecloth restaurant and you want to feel, a certain way, when you're out.
Yep.
Then I feel like my style is not, where you want to be at all, But, if you want to just enjoy good food and kind of relate to the person that's serving you, then that's us, and that works for us because, like you said, it's a neighborhood place,
Yeah.
We get a lot of repeat customers, Christmas cards, like,
Sure.
I invite certain customers to my daughter's birthday.
Yeah.
Like, it's just like that
Absolutely.
kind of place. Like, that's what we did, and that worked, and it works for us, And that was it. So when when we left for the, for the virus, a lot of people were just, they were just, they didn't know what to do because they were, they go there every day or, it's just a part of their routine.
Becomes part of you.
And it becomes like part of you. And like when you take something like that away and it's like, they're like, when are you coming back? I'm like, I can't even come back if I wanted to come back. Like,
Yeah.
you couldn't relive what you did, I can deliver it to you, but, it's just not the same. It's not the same.
So you opened up your second shop, which is got a much heavier focus on delivery.
Yeah, that's
right?
more walk-in, take
Walk-in
out,
and delivery.
But that was more focused on, the courthouses, jurors, things like that. And, lunch was really good down there, especially before everything. There was a lot of activity down there, a lot of foot traffic, and just a lot of people in general in the neighborhood. You can never find parking. I mean, all the lots were full, and it was just, it was very active.
Yep.
And it was great, and then we made a lot of nice people there too, and a lot of local people, and so diverse in that spot. You kind of you have a judge standing next to a homeless person.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just like
That's some of the beauty of the North Shore.
everybody is there.
True melting pot.
Man, everybody's there. After 5 o'clock. I
Right.
mean, before 5 o'clock. After 5 o'clock,
Right. Ghost town.
Not ghost town. Just the people that was standing next to the judges are there.
Yeah.
Like they hang around for the nighttime vibe. But St. George has proven to be much more difficult for the outdoor dining phase that we're in. The Victory Boulevard is much better for that.
Yep.
There's no comparison. I mean, they want to make us responsible for 100 feet of area from our front door, and that puts us right about into the make-up homeless shelter at the library. So I'm like, I can't.
So this is what we wanted to really get into, folks.
Yeah.
Of course, we wanted to give context and give background, but I wanted to give Mario an opportunity to get the message out about what's happening, what are the challenges, not to sit here and to throw bombs at anyone, to get people to understand how difficult it has become and how business owners are really being de-incentivized to such an extent that we're at a real critical tipping point in New York City, and I think it's absolutely imperative we start talking about it in a respectful way.
Yeah.
Because if we don't, it's
Absolutely.
it's over.
Yeah, absolutely.
We're in for a real shock here. So let's start talking about COVID, the impacts.
What I want to say is I understand the health risks.
Of course.
And I'm a team player, and I don't ever want to put anybody in harm's way when it comes to my business. Okay, so I don't want that responsibility, but there's contradictions There's not it doesn't make sense in a lot of ways because it's okay here, but it's not okay here. And that's the part that bothers me. And, if you're going to say that people were drinking and not eating, that was one of the accusations that I was accused of. Then in how, because of a business structure, you take a brewery, and I don't want to throw anybody under the bus or name names, but if you are a brewery and you don't have food, you're allowed to serve, as long as they're sitting, yes, they have to be sitting, but they don't have to eat.
Right.
They're allowed to drink.
Right. Why is that okay?
I just, as a public health concern, doesn't make sense to me. You know what I mean? Where you can have people just drinking because their business structure says that they're this. Is this a health issue or is this a business structure issue? I don't. That's what that bothers me.
Let's slow that down for people that are not familiar with it. So what Mario was talking about is there was the rule that you can order drinks, but you have to be eating while you're ordering drinks, and there was the famous Cuomo chips where people were selling a bag of potato chips to qualify for the rule. That got disqualified.
Right.
Yet, if you're a brewery, you don't have to.
You don't have to do it.
Serve food. So Mario's frustration is either make it where we can just serve the drinks like they can, or if it genuinely is about a health concern, then nobody should be able to do it.
They shouldn't be able to do it.
Right? We'll play by the rules, but make them consistent and make them apply to everyone.
And make them about health, which is what they're designed for. Make it that, if we're really causing an issue for, for the health and the way we're operating, which is what they're saying, that they are not operating according to the guidelines of the CDC, and they're proposing a health risk for everybody. So then, why not take away my business license? Why just my liquor license? If I'm not listening and I'm a public health threat to everybody because of the way I operate, then don't allow me to operate at all if I'm such a risk. Why just take one aspect of the business away from me and fine me exuberantly, just for that, whereas now I could still basically do the same thing and have people stand there and not wear masks and whatever atrocities that were occurring. I can still do that though. It just doesn't make, it doesn't, it's not, for me, it doesn't seem like it's a health concern. It's more of just a revenue generator in my instance anyway.
So the Mario had at Marie's too an incident where there was a group of people that, and stop me at any point if I get off track here, that had dined and become part of the fabric of the place, like you were talking about, and had been there
every day
for years.
Every day, that we were allowed to start doing this. They would come. They were local people, so they would eat together and they would drink together. They were the same people that from whenever, I can't tell you exactly when they allowed this outdoor dining and this open restaurant program, but from that day that we put our tables on the sidewalk, these were the same people that were supporting us.
Yep.
Neighborhood people that would come every single day, That's who they were. That's the same people. They were family members. They were, they were boyfriend and girlfriend. It's just a local place where if you came by any night, you would see the same people every single night. That's the kind of place that was, and there was no more than ever 9 or 10 people. You know what I mean? It was just the same people, and they were so grateful that we were able to supply them with that. They're so grateful.
And you're grateful that you have the opportunity to try and keep the lights on.
Absolutely, because they were very generous. They would buy food that they didn't want, and they would eat it, and they would spend, and they would tip, very well, and just to be able to kind of feel like a normal thing was going on. And every other business on the strip was closed, is closed, has been, throughout this whole pandemic from day one.
Yep.
We were the only people there going to work every single day. That's when we were considered essential workers.
Right.
We were being praised, and thank you so much. And I can't, you guys are out there risking your lives just to feed. And that was before the whole liquor thing happened. So we were literally just there, takeout, delivery, and whatever walk-in traffic came. And, it wasn't great, but we did it, we did it because we wanted to feel normal too. And obviously we needed to make some sort of money. But, We didn't really have to because we could have sat home and collected unemployment and got our extra $600, and we could have got the loans and everything like that. But we chose to go to work. That's what we chose to do.
So part of Mario's frustration is at a time when people needed to eat. You're out there and you're providing this essential 100%. Service, and you're going to work at your risk, and your people are going to work voluntarily, and you're providing food, and you're providing a normalcy that people so desperately needed.
And it was recognized, and people thanked us for that throughout the whole pandemic. Absolutely.
And then overnight, the switch flips, and you're the bad restaurant owner who's trying to generate revenue and put people at risk. Like the whole narrative kind of flips overnight. So you have this group that's been coming, supportive group.
Absolutely.
They're sitting down, they're eating, and they're drinking, which is fine. They stand up. The restaurant's closing.
Right.
You're mopping the floor, or your associate's mopping the floor.
5 minutes to 11, which is the time they got to close.
What do you mean the time you have to close?
11 is when you have to bring everything inside, and you can't serve any more liquor.
This is your decision?
No. This is mandated.
So it's also mandated the times that you can be open.
Absolutely. Yeah. We can stay open for takeout and delivery, I believe, if we wanted to. Lock the door and just do that. I'm pretty sure that we're allowed to do that. But any outdoor activity, any sort of dining, any sort of alcohol, 11 o'clock is the end of the road.
And was there a group, or was there a bunch of restaurant owners that got together and consulted on this, or were you a part of this decision making?
No. These are all executive orders. These have nothing to do with any sort of, this is all based on the numbers and based on which I thought we should be rewarding ourselves based on our numbers, because Staten Island has done remarkably well. Throughout the whole pandemic, we were lower than everybody, and we keep getting grouped together. And when they first opened, and you saw the scenes from Astoria, and you saw the scenes, in those high volume areas, certain places early on got lost their license because there was hundreds of people,
right?
Hundreds, and they weren't listening, and that, but. I have, this store is as tiny as can be.
It's a couple of 100 square feet.
I mean, it's ridiculous. If you have one person and they're waiting in line for the bathroom, we're like breaking the law already. Like it's crazy. If you have 3 people working, so there's all these at any given time. They can just be driving by or whatever. They don't. They're not. The task force is there to kind of just get you and like, I got you. It's not like to guide you and say, okay, look, this is what you're doing wrong. Like, these people need to be seating, and it wasn't even like, but they were seating, they ate already. Like, what is the timeline? Like, after you take your last bite of food, do I have to take your drink away as well? Because do we have to sit with a dirty plate in front of you for how, what is it? Like, can you eat one meal and then have 3 drinks after, because that's what was going on. They were eating, but how much can you eat? They have to order a meal for every drink? Is that the rule?
And there's no clarity on this.
As far as I could see,
And even if there was, you're here to create food.
Right.
You're here to create, right? And to entertain. This is your passion. Right. You're not here to you have these people, they're outside, they're eating, they're drinking, and what Mario's talking about is, okay, people order food, and then you have to be eating while you're drinking. So it's not like people are watching and supervising this all the time, which would even be worse. But you have people that now, inspectors that may be driving by, and the server could have taken the plate away a minute ago, and it looks like people are just sitting there and drinking. Right.
But even so, forget about all the food and all this and all that. I mean, when you're taking the same people every day that come to the same place every single day, this is not a public health risk. This is a family getting together in a backyard. Yep. This is, what I mean? There's no difference. There's just because I pay corporate taxes and sales tax is the only thing that separates me from your backyard party where you invite people, and that's okay. That's fine. But we're here, and say we weren't listening. Say they weren't eating. Say there was just 9 people standing up and drinking. Like, imagine your whole life is you've done this. This is your job. Like, this is your career. This is what you've chosen to do, your path in life. And now it's illegal. Like, it's like all of a sudden I'm a drug dealer, or, you know what I mean? Like, it's like you can't, you're not allowed to sell houses or commercial real estate anymore this way. You have to do it this way now.
Yep.
And it's just
which happened also.
It did happen.
Right?
It did.
This
Absolutely.
is the reason this
and
is
I thought about that,
so profound is it's impacting everyone.
Right.
And New York City.
I'm fine. Listen, when we were in the heat of it, March 16th to, I want to say even May or whenever it kind of, I can't remember when exactly it did get, lifted and we were allowed to open outside or whatever. But we were listening. We did what we had to do. We didn't have parties. Like, nobody was outside drinking. Like, we didn't do that. It wasn't like we were just all right, we're not listening. We were like, okay, nobody has it on Staten Island. There's like 6 people somewhere in the hospital that have it. But I know they don't want it to spread, and I get it. But it's just like, I feel like we did the work. We paid, we sacrificed. We did everything. We got to the numbers where they said we needed to get to in order to have some sort of normalcy. And then they changed it all. And then they started enforcing, and it's like, where was the enforcement before that? Why didn't they come check on us every day when we were standing back there just doing nothing, making food and obeying, basically.
So, couple of really important things here. You're clearly not making money now, right? This is about keeping doors open. It's
about keeping doors open. It's about employing people. It's about providing staff. And, at the end of the day, you have to make something. You can't not make anything. So that really comes with, you have to, everybody has to kind of understand, and just if it takes longer to, to pay this or to pay that, or, you just kind of have to go with it, and just work that way. I mean, thankfully we've been busy, so it's been okay, and you kind of just have to adjust, you kind of, like I always said, it's all about percentages. You have to look at what you made in a day, and you got to say, okay, 30%'s for this, 20%'s for that, 10%'s for me, and make that work.
Right.
Just make that work,
So, because I want to get to the crux of this, and then I want to close the loop and then close the chapter on this and move on to some other topics. So, your party that had been coming and is coming in part to help you, because you've been there for them. There's less than 10 people. They stand up at the end of the meal. Your restaurant, literally, the front house is a few hundred square feet, maybe. They come in to wrap up their evening. They're standing, not sitting, and your license is revoked.
I mean,
it's suspended. What's the correct term here?
It's suspended.
It's suspended.
It's temporarily suspended. It could be, if they find that, it's so bad, they could permanently suspend it. Obviously there'll be fines. There was other things. They said that, my partner with the mask situation, where she was wearing it all day, she just wasn't wearing it at the end of the night.
She was done, and she figured
she was sitting down.
I'm sitting down. Night's over.
Yeah, I'm done.
Right.
I'm like, what a day. We're relaxing now. We're done. And so she was a big problem. I feel like that and her kind of not just cowering down to them definitely had a huge role in, and they also misquoted her, saying that she never wears a mask and she never has to because of her medical problems, which she does have a cyst in her nose, like she has asthma, like there are medical. And I also remember that being in the language with the whole mandates with the mask, was that if you had a pre-existing medical condition, that you didn't have to wear a mask. But I understand that maybe she shouldn't be in that position. If she has that, maybe stay home. Okay, I get it. And that's what I told them. I was like, I understand where you're coming from. If she can't physically do it all day, every day, then stay home and do what you got to do at home. So basically that's what's happening with that.
But think about how insane this is for a minute.
Right.
We're here talking about you as the business owner.
Right.
If a cyst in the nose qualifies for an exemption, this is insanity.
It's insanity.
So New Yorkers are the best problem solvers in the world. The New York entrepreneurial community, there is no better.
Right.
And my big beef and the message I've been trying to carry on the other side of this to decision makers and policy influencers and policy makers is you've taken the best problem solvers in the world out of the equation. And I get there's no easy way to do this, but it's a lot worse when we're legislating and we have no knowledge of what running a business means. We don't. You're right.
Especially that business, like.
Well, every business has got its nuances, and the elected officials that haven't been in private business for themselves, there's no way they could know the nuance of what goes on. So I feel like there should have been, and it's not too late. Like we should be looking at this from a little bit of the honor system, right? Like we know what's going to keep our people safe better than you ever will. I've been doing this for almost 30 years now. There's no way you could possibly tell me things that are going to matter, right? There's optics, and then there's real,
real time
meat and potato stuff, but no one's going to know it better than me. No one's going to know the restaurant business better than you, right? So that's not been part of the problem solving. We've all been given these rules, and on the fly while we're trying to adapt, it's been really difficult. It's been near impossible.
I mean, you have to go on the website every day just to see if something else happened. Something else changed. Because I remember someone coming to me and being like, you got to close by 11, and I was like, I do. I was like, I was like, oh my god. I was like, I was up in Pennsylvania for a few days with my family, and now I come back. And, you can't step away. Like, it's just you can't. You got to really stay on top of all the regulations.
And if you miss something, then you're a bad actor, right? Then then you're the bad guy that's not being sensitive to health and it's very, very frustrating. Another point I've tried to communicate is these people. I have people that have been with me for 25 years. They're my family. Right?
100%.
Nobody's going to look out for them better than I am. Nobody. So we're not. It's tough.
They're putting everything into one big bubble and saying, okay, this is how it is for everybody in every situation. But every situation is different. It's every they're not really caring whether to hear it. You can't explain to them because, of course, you're the one that's having your license suspended. So of course you're going to say anything, to whatever they want to hear, right? That's the whole thing.
Were the people who did this were they pleasant?
No, the people that did it were not pleasant. From what I heard, they were not. They were really not pleasant. And the people that served the suspension were pleasant, and they were apologetic, and they were like, "Oh, we're so sorry. This isn't us. We don't want to do this." And it's like, okay, but you're doing it,
right?
And it's like,
well, it puts everyone in a tough spot, right? We all have someone to answer to, and
plus, the next day, it was the next day when they came, it was exactly the same people that were there when that happened.
Yep.
You know what I mean? That know exactly what's going on. Everybody's talking about it, this and that, But they never thought that was going to be the outcome. They figured, okay, you're going to get fined and whatever, and this is going to happen. But so they were there when they suspended the license, and and those nice people, took the heat from the customers because they were pissed. You know what I mean? They're like, how could you do this to them? You know what I mean? Like, we're here every day.
So how many warnings did you get? Written warnings prior to?
None, zero, no warnings. There's no warnings. They just came out of nowhere.
So you got no written warnings about
being out of, we're not, there's no warning.
So you legitimately went from, and I know I'm harping on this because there's been a lot of ambiguity around this. You went from 0 warnings to license suspended.
License suspended, yeah, because what they witnessed was so outrageous, And I know, I mean, I've, obviously as a business owner, and I'm sure many local island business owners do this. They drive around and just to see what's going on, they check other places out. And, I noticed that in front of my place, and I actually even ended up talking to one of the guys because he was so he was there every single night. And finally I had to ask him, dude, who are you? Why do you come here every night and look at us and record us? And it's weird, and he came clean and he's like, I'm a local owner, and he's like, I'm just checking out the vibes, and he's like, and then he came to me. He's like, it looks like you got a great thing going here and this and that. And I'm like, yeah, it's for now. And I was like, I know we joked about it. And I was like, until they take it away, and boom, it happened, But, so even like, say they weren't eating, say they were just standing, say they were not listening, say all of that. But like, what are they really doing? What are they really doing? Socializing,
Right.
they're, it just is like, it's just too contradicting as far as and what they expect just on that particular sidewalk, because like though that sidewalk compared to a sidewalk at the other place, like not that we're on the sidewalk, but there's no foot traffic and there's nobody coming through. On that particular street is the pathway to the ferry.
Yep.
So when the ferry lets out, you have people that come
Yep.
and walk through, and then when the people come down, you know what I mean? So I can have a group of people sitting here. You're putting us out on the sidewalk, sitting here, eating, drinking, following the rules, and then there can be 20 people at a clip walking between my restaurant and those tables. Now, those people, if they don't have a mask on while they walk through my restaurant, it's my fault.
No.
I have to stop them and make them put a mask on. Yeah, because I'm responsible for 100 feet.
Wait.
100 feet of from my front door. They're saying I'm responsible. So the violation was that there were people within 100 feet of the premises.
That's insane.
So 100 feet, like I was saying, there's the New York Public Library is probably about 80 feet away from me on the other side of the street.
Right.
And there was literally a homeless shelter,
Yep.
like
an impromptu encampment. It's not
like
a shelter.
There's a scaffolding,
right.
so they use that as the shelter.
Yep. I know it well.
I'm talking about like lounge chairs.
Yep.
Like they go up on the second floor and take showers. Like I am responsible for those people according to 100 feet mandate. Like so. Basically,
impossible.
It's impossible.
It's impossible.
It's impossible. And there's like the bar next door to me is 4 feet away from me. Like so. I don't know if everybody's responsible for 100 feet. Like, who is really responsible for where? Like, I don't know, But I'm just saying, so then people walk through. If they see somebody that's eating there and they want to stop and say hello and just be normal human beings, because they know this person and they want to say hi to them, they're not wearing a mask. Now they're standing. They're talking to the people that are sitting. I'm inside making pizza.
Right.
And it's like, it's just a cluster. It's like...
So these are the things that...
It's a big challenge over there.
That...
If you're on a busy street sidewalk and you want to have your outdoor thing that they're allowing, it's difficult.
And this is why you need to have real world experience if you're going to be making these rules. Or you better damn well start listening to people that have real world experience.
That's a good place to really, the street's not closed, so it's not like people could just walk in the street or, they're doing that. And I think that's great. I think it's really beneficial and that looks like they're trying to help businesses, and that's great, you know what I mean, for them. But, you got Hyatt Street over there, and it's just, it's a wild west out there. We've had knives pulled on us. My partner wouldn't serve, they stopped somebody from not wearing a mask to come in, and they were drunk, and so we were like, you got to leave, and then next thing you know, there's a knife in their hand, and it's like, I mean, this is just what happens out there, and it's crazy, and it's like, do I really need this right now? So I feel like almost...
See what you just said?
Yeah.
That is the tipping point I referenced earlier.
Yeah.
That is very scary.
It's not worth it, At what point does it just be like, okay, it's not worth it anymore? But, I mean, then you have Victory where it's like you have your nice little area and your safe patio and there's no issues and people are eating and they're listening and it's just like, see, I know I can listen to the rules. Like, it's not... First of all, I'm not the one that's standing. You want to find somebody, find the people. They know the rules.
Right.
Go find them $100 or something, not $40,000 to a business owner who's like trying to, just, in a place like that, you're going to take a month to make that. And that's gross. It's not even like, not even realistic. So,
well, look, we're all facing something in the modern era we've never faced before. And I'm very cautious before we start laying blame anywhere. And I think it's not too late, but I think it's really important that we have. This is, in my opinion, this is the most important podcast we've had yet. that this message starts to get out there, and hopefully people start to listen, and this becomes much more of a collaborative, informative process,
Right.
and a lot less of a
Finger pointing.
create the policy and enforce it.
Yeah.
Because there are nuances, there are good people that are trying to do the right thing,
Right.
and the rules are set up right now where that's just in stark contrast with each other.
I mean, I read something on SI Live. They said that they're going to stop, right after we got suspended, they're going to stop being so enforcement and more informational. So let's hope that's true, for the other people out there. But, I've driven past a few establishments, and God bless them, they're doing amazing. And, there's not a whole lot of social distancing going on, so and I don't think it's wrong. I'm like,
right.
I'm like,
but it's frustrating.
It's so nice to see that people are out and enjoying themselves, and this is what it should be, and this is what, it's what we're meant to do as far as, social beings go. And, and the bar industry, the restaurant industry in particular, we really are the fabric of culture as far as social interaction goes.
Without a doubt.
I mean, you take us out of the element, and what is there to do?
Yeah.
Really, what is there to do? You can't go to a movie, you can't bowl. Or can you bowl now? I don't know. Can you, I don't know anymore. But, it's just, it's a very important part of the fabric of the culture and the meetings and people making deals and, people coming together and people arguing and, and everything in between. It all happens in a restaurant.
How many deals and business meetings have I had at your place?
Exactly.
It's countless.
It's
right?
And that's where people feel comfortable. It's a common ground. It's like, okay, we both need to eat. We both need to drink. We both need to, spend money, and like feel good about ourselves.
Yeah.
And like you just like, if it's really a public health risk, then I'm like, okay, stop it. Let's
shut it down completely.
Let's shut it down. Like, let's just get through it then. Like let's just do it. We could have been there already. Maybe I don't know. That's the thing is nobody really knows.
Right. Well, that's right. Follow the science. Science has changed. It's in the beginning it was this is not communicable by traditional means and so.
But now is it a bad virus that yes it's real? Is it being piggybacked into a political is that what's happening, or is it really about public health issues? But the thing that I can't understand mostly is the brewery loophole. Like to me. And God bless all the breweries out there. I'm not hating on you. I'm jealous. I just don't understand how you can operate according to no foods when clearly that is such an important issue to the governor.
Right. Well, look, the VMA is having their award show this week, and anyone who's traveling back and forth has to quarantine. Becca is from out of state, so we haven't been able to get together as often as we would because of the quarantine issues. But there's a carve-out for the performers.
Okay.
They don't have to quarantine. Right? So again, where the people are kind of tired of two sets of rules.
It's just, it's tough to be told every day what to do and how to do it, even though that's pretty much, there are already rules in place, And
there's plenty of them.
The health department can come in any day and bust you for whatever they want. And, the fire department can come in if you're not. And that fire department is an important one because I feel like that is more about safety than anything.
Yes.
So, the fire department's good. I get it. Health department's very crucial because if you didn't have the health department, you'd have some pretty grimy people out there putting some really horrible things out to people. And I respect them for that. But like anything, there's regulations where it's like, you have a silverware facing the wrong way. And, if they want, they can fine you for that. You know what I mean? So there are little nitpicking things that I don't agree with. But overall, the health department, I feel, is very, very important as far as controlling, because I've been inside some of these places, and, it just isn't sanitary what they do. So
well, but and that's, again, and I don't want to get too far out in because we'll be here for days, but one bad instance, one bad actor, it results sometimes in legislation that all it does is take the good actors out of it. So they changed a lot of the rules around brokers and doing rentals, right? So we pride ourselves on how we operate. We're professional. We don't play games.
Yeah.
And when they changed the rules around rentals, we abandoned overnight a really strong rental program.
Wow.
And we were providing good service.
Yeah.
We were doing the right thing. We don't care who you are, where you come from.
Yeah.
That doesn't matter to us. It never has, never will.
You need a place to live.
But because of the doubling and tripling down on enforcement, because of the bad folks that were operating, that are the ones that are doing things that are disgusting,
Yes.
we dropped, overnight said, it's over. We
Yeah.
will not do this anymore. So it's another issue. We don't want to get too far out. Let's bring it back. And COVID hasn't been the only issues, right? The virus itself, the false start with the opening of the restaurants. You guys went, you stock your fridge, you mobilize, you bring people in, and then with only a few days' notice, it gets pulled out from under you.
Yeah, that's that was something that I guess we kind of knew maybe it was going to happen, but we kind of hoped it didn't, and of course it did, and that's the thing, they make it all about the numbers, and the numbers are there. The numbers are there,
right?
That's what it was all about, So that's why I can see a lot of people get frustrated when you be like, okay, we'll buy into this science angle, and we get it. Like, we think that's a good idea, and we'll listen to it. We'll get the numbers down. We'll do the work, and we did that. And then now they're scared, for it to come back. At the end of the day, they're only scared because the healthcare system can't handle treating people. That's the real problem here. They just don't want.
You don't want to have a run on hospitals.
They don't want the hospitals to be overrun.
Of course.
So what does that say about our healthcare system? That
well, that's another discussion.
They can't handle it. That's the problem here. Because if they could treat everybody that they let live in a community, then you should have the proper.
Yep.
And just in case something happened, or a natural disaster, or this and that, all these things that are happening more and more frequently. And the healthcare system is overwhelmed.
Well, I'll say this, that thank God this virus turned out to be not as deadly as originally thought it could have been, because this was a dry run, in my opinion. Just like the superstorms, these things are just going to unfortunately become part of the norm. And we found a lot of weaknesses up and down the chain here, locally, nationally, internationally, supply chain issues, hospital issues. Yeah. So hopefully this, again, silver linings. But you guys also got hit hard with this little storm that turned out to be not such a little storm, right?
Oh, man, this was that I didn't see coming at all, because, we lost power, and we decided to open that exact week. So we opened on
like the hits keep coming.
Yeah, that was close, because they were saying you talk to Con Ed, and you go and you walk down the street to where the tree took out your power lines, and you talk to the guys working on those, and you're like, hey, buddy, how you doing? How long you think it's going to take? And they're like, I don't know. Could be a week. Could be a day. I'm like, oh, my God, what are we going to do? We literally just got everything ready to go on that Sunday. Like, I had my guys in there prepping everything. We were closed for 5 months. And, well, just thank God for generators. That's very expensive generators.
So with all of this, and here's the dangerous part for me on the real estate side, seeing this over and over and over. You're slated, long before COVID, you got involved in opening potentially a third restaurant, which we want to talk about. But you're also cautious, right, as you go through this process, and you start to question, when is enough, and when do you hit that delta where you say, whatever's into it, I'm done, I'm out, I can't operate this way anymore. Right. So let's talk on the positive side of things. Talk about the new restaurant. Where is it located? What's the menu going to be? What's the vibe?
The vibe and the menu are all going to be, well, let's just start with where it is. It's in the Charleston Shopping Commons there, 2935 Veterans Road.
At South Shore Commons Shopping Center.
Yes.
Across from the Target.
Across from over there, the Home Depot. Great, amazing location. Yes, it was pre-COVID, and we had to halt a lot of work that we were doing, because of that, and it has prolonged it. But during this, kind of made me kind of change I wouldn't say change the food or the items, but just kind of change the format in which we get the product to the customer.
Okay.
And I feel like, because of this situation that we're in, it caused everybody to make changes and to do different things. I've seen 4-star restaurants have toilet paper for sale in their store, and just everybody's just kind of scrambling to figure out how to stay open. So, in a way, I think that what happened with this situation and this virus and me opening a restaurant at the same time really made me think about the future and how people are going to move forward in this business. And I feel like if you kind of go into any restaurant or you go into anybody's back of the house, there's a lot of treasures back there that people don't get to normally see.
Yeah.
There's a lot of ingredients, and there's produce, and there's beautiful vegetables, and there's all this beautiful proteins, and it's attractive.
Right.
It looks good.
Yeah.
it's
presented right. Yeah.
If you're buying the right products, So the angle we're going there is like, we're gonna have, everything that you would normally see in a good restaurant as far as steaks and fish and all these other things and the great vegetables and all like that. But you can really dissect the dish if you want to kind of do it yourself almost, or if you kind of want to cook it later, or if you want us to cook it for you. But you can actually see your proteins. You can see your vegetables. You can actually pick what you want and what seasoning you want. And, of course, there'll be menu items that
Sure.
will be all prepared, and you can just pick that. But I feel like a lot of people now, especially with less going out, they want to cook. But, if you have to go into a grocery store and pick out all the ingredients for a dish, it's going to take you some time.
Right.
Whereas if we kind of just put that for you and give you a few different options according to your preferences, and visually you can see, okay, so you have Himalayan salt for that, or everybody's very in tune to what they're eating, ketogenic. They want their proteins, they want it separate from their starches. But I feel like there's no traditional meal anymore as far as the individual goes. You can't. I cater parties all the time. I cater parties for my family who's a vegetarian, who doesn't eat this, who doesn't eat that, who wants no salt, who wants this.
Yep.
So dissect everything and make it visual for the customer to actually see what they're getting into and be like, okay, I know, 3 people want this way, and I know that, or just give me what you do best, or I feel like it's almost like you get to really plan what you're ingesting.
I love the idea, as we've all become so much more health conscious, being able to see the actual proteins or see the actual seasons and see the actual vegetables that we're putting in our body separate, right? And presented like, hey, here's the stuff we use. It's the finest quality. Like, I think that's where you're going with this. The customer can see it and be like, how about you put this with this and this? And you're actually seeing what's going in your body, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, it's cool. It's cool. It's like, it's there. It's there for you. You're gonna have a nice, beautiful sushi grade piece of tuna, and you want a pound of it, or whatever, whatever it is, or do you want me to cook it for you? What do you want me to do with this for you?
Right.
What kind of seasoning do you like? Spicy? Do you like this? Do you like that? Then you can kind of move down the line, and we can cook it. You can sit down and eat it, or you can take it home, cook it later, or we can deliver it to you, whatever you want, basically. Yep. But I feel like, there's a lot, just looking, you go back in the walk-in box and you got all this beautiful ingredients, man, and they're hidden.
Yeah.
They're like, why are they hiding back there? Like,
great point.
You know what I mean? Like,
let people see.
They should be out there and let people see them, and put the whole fish out there and, fillet it in front of them, like watch, let them see it, let them be a part of their food.
Yeah.
And I really hope that we can have people inside and, in a relatively soon time, because I'm all about vibe as well. So you asked about the vibe, and it's gonna be a very high energy vibe. It's gonna be fun.
You made the decision to rip all the storefronts out. I know you're opening up the whole thing.
The whole thing's being opened up,
Very, very cool.
Yeah, it'll be fun, and we have a lighting engineer coming in with all sorts of trussing and moving heads and all that stuff. And it's kind of like, hopefully, we can sit people down inside and they can kind of experience, a whole different kind of, eating thing where you have a different vibe and you have some good music playing and you can socialize and you can drink and just go back to being normal. And you can kind of, be your own little chef in a way if you want, Where
That's great.
If you want to try your own little combination, we'll have different rubs for different meats and different, salts. There's all kinds of salt that people,
right.
There's just,
salt's not just salt.
It's not just salt, there's a lot, and it goes really well. And, that guy Salt Bay made a whole life out of salt. So, don't underestimate salt. But, there's a lot of different things. And also, Vitalia, it has a very healthy name feel to it, like vital, like life, and that kind of thing. So we're also going to venture down the fresh juice end of it. So, we're going to have a nice juicer there, and you'll be able to get your kale and your apple, and you'll be able to get all that stuff that you want to juice on the spot. And I think that'll be really nice change, just to have that available for you, where you want a vegan and someone who's on keto and a carnivore. You want everybody to sit at the same table.
Yep.
And you want everybody to feel like they're not compromising what they want.
Yep.
So
it's such a diverse marketplace now. This is your answer to.
Can't be one thing anymore.
No.
You can't be an Italian restaurant anymore.
Yep.
It doesn't work anymore.
I know you're bringing in a lot of technology as well.
Yes.
on the POS side and on the ordering side. So, you're trying to adapt as this world evolves, and there'll be a real slick ordering platform. So
it'll all be as tech advanced as you can be as far as ordering from your phone, or when you come in, there'll be kiosk. If
very cool.
If you don't want to interact with a human, we can make that happen for you too. You can just do everything on your phone, pay everything, just get it to you. So, we have to factor everything in. If this comes back and we have to shut down again, we have a sustainable business where we can deliver and do takeout.
Yep.
So we're really trying to be as versatile as possible here, and when you have such a diverse group of eaters in today's world, you got to kind of work for that.
Yep.
So it's exciting. I'm looking forward to it. I just wish it was different times.
Well, look, we hope that you, and I know it's hard, and I've said this a couple of times to a few people offline. When you start sapping my entrepreneurial spirit, we have a problem, because I'm pretty.
Yeah.
I have a pretty hardy constitution in that manner, and I know that's where you're at. And I hope that you can stay excited for it. I think it'd be a terrible loss for Staten Island if you weren't out there doing what you do.
Thank you.
As it gets closer, we will certainly come back and promote this for you.
For sure. Thank you. Yeah.
Best of luck. Hang in there.
Thanks, man.
And it was great to see you, man.
You too, brother.
Be good.
Thank you so much.
All right, everybody. Thank you very much. As always, you can check us out on all the platforms. Petey's on the ones and twos, always watching comments, and keep them coming. Suggestions. It's been great. Everybody, thank you, and stay safe.